Does he ignore ExpecT and just kind of see this as a free win and then get surprised? Something like that can happen and has happened before, but let's introduce our players. Of course, at the top right here in the blue, our Protoss player, current champion of Taiwan. It is Noise from Alpha X.
And on the other side of the map, how many punches from Protoss will he take before he finally stands up for himself? It's going to be the Red Terran, ExpecT. He's getting bullied, Maynard. Someone help him.
I mean, this is the early game dance of TVP. I always say that the first probe from every Protoss. I have no problem with with the probes of my opponent. You know, I will come and try and hunt them later as a Terran player, but the first probe is the only probe in the Protoss arsenal that I have a personal vendetta against. It's the one that zaps your SCV while it tries to build the barracks. It's the one that you have to try and, as we can see, hold position SCV on the refinery, so you don't lose that, don't have that blocked. It's also the one that zaps your SCV as you try and go for a fast expand. It is also the probe that will be dropping proxy pylons and shield batteries if he, and cannons if he does want to go in that direction as well. So it is always the biggest jerk that the Protoss can have. Yeah, I mean
the probe is juggling about as many jobs as most people who work in esports, Maynard. That's insane.
That's right. We're commentating multiple games and flipping burgers on the weekend. Like the highs no bounds. The sky's the limit in esports.
There you go. And then when the LAN rolls around and all the players are hungry, you can flip them a couple burgers on the barbie outside. You love to see it. Also interesting to see both players mirroring each other's fan placement in the background of the player cams there. That is, that must be...
Wow.
Knowing my StarCraft players, that must be optimal fan placement for coverage.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that, honestly. Personally, I think that ExpecT's cam could be a little bit closer. I'm not sure it's zoomed in far enough. This is some good framing there. Yeah. We're missing the top side here. So we don't know if he's got a giant pick Mohawk or if it's just a regular number 2. Bit more framing would have been good there for ExpecT. But that's just I do feel like Nice is winning the camera framing war, but I feel like the video game might be a tiny bit more important. We'll get into it when it gets a bit more interesting, though. It is just a Reaper expand here from the Terran. Nothing wild out of the Protoss or the Terran at the moment.
Yeah, you do have that Reaper just being really cheeky, but the shield battery just to potentially cover for any kind of shenanigans later on. We'll scout that Robo coming down and Stalker follow up in the meanwhile as the Adept's getting quite active out on the map, looking to hunt some more SCVs. Load up the SCV! Oh, it's gone into the orbital. Never mind. Sometimes you do see like a Terran player chuck the SCV in there just to keep it alive and then go into orbital later, but turns out he doesn't care about his workers. Someone call the unions.
Oh man, Union's gonna have a field day with this one when they get that report in their desk. No, the Reaper dying here kind of sucks for ExpecT. It means that he doesn't have that follow-up scout. Nice with the shield batteries, mineral lines, not worried about anything from the Terran at the moment. The only thing he has to worry about is Widow Mines. He sees one coming out there with the Adept. Usually, a very, very common follow-up just to load up those Widow Mines into medevacs, just trying to hit that probe line. Because it's not only damage, it's also potentially a scout as well. Oh, Nice is going to try the tricky maneuver. Going to debate the Widow Mine. It did not work out.
Yeah, at least for the time being. The pressure's still being applied with just these couple of gateway units. And in the meanwhile, Nice is getting himself an Immortal started back at home while still just being cheeky. And this is the kind of thing where I look, oh my god, he actually picks off one of the Widow Mines and he's still applying more and more pressure. He's picking off Marines. He's killed the Widow Mine.
Oh.
The Stalker does go down, but it's the kind of thing that I'm looking at this and you can just tell how confident Nice is.
And Nice is being, I feel like he's starting to get towards overconfident. He's lost 2 Adepts here. He's lost a Stalker as well. These are not good trades for Nice. They're not very good at all. I mean, he is technically trading us slightly better because of how the start of the game went. But, I mean, losing those Adepts, those Stalkers really is a little unforgivable, I feel.
Here's the thing, though. That's what I was looking at as well. I'm looking at the Warp Prism here to chuck an Immortal in there, and I'm thinking to myself, Terran player has a couple of less units, and then all of a sudden you're juggling that Immortal up and down. That's got to be pretty annoying to deal with, potentially.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Prism getting across the map right now for Nice, who is looking to just continue to barrel on the pressure. He's got 4 gateways about to finish up here, and it's not like he's got blink or anything like that. It's not 4-gate blink, but it is just 4 gates with a lot of unit production and an Immortal as well. So he just really wants to bust open the Terran in lieu of getting a 3rd base.
It's kind of crazy because I'm looking at the series score and I'm thinking like, Nice is definitely the one on top of things and he's playing confident like that as well. Oh, the Widow Mine, I did really, really nice dodge on top of that pickup there. And now you're seeing the Immortal started to come into the equation, does pick off that Widow Mine and a couple of SCVs. So the pressure never really lets up for ExpecT here as Nice starts to look for a different angle.
Nice going up for the main base here with that Immortal. He can start to actually go toe-to-toe with this tank as well. Engages Guardian Shield. Wants to commit to this battle. Juggles the sentry around there. Guardian Shield still engaged. Loses the sentry. Is still warping in more units. The Immortal getting quite low, but with the Adepts coming out, he can go toe-to-toe with the Marines again. And while these Stalkers shy, if he target fires those Stalkers down and the SCVs, he should be able to pick them off. The Immortal, having his hardened shield back, means it can once again be a threat to this tank. Really good juggling from ExpecT on that tank. He does keep it alive, but unfortunately losing 10 SCVs. This is just not a comfortable situation at all for the Terran as Nice continues to barrel on the pressure.
This is exactly what I was thinking, Maynard. When I was seeing those early trades, I'm watching him chip down the unit count. When the meanwhile he's chrono boosting out Immortals, that Immortal as well as the Warp Prison. I'm thinking this man is out for blood, and you're just seeing the shade in towards the natural. He's pulled the units back. Surely this is going to be a very damaging blow for Terran to deal with.
I mean, the 4 Adepts and the Natural are really a pain there. The Bunker and the Tank are definitely assisting, so the Adepts are starting to get thinned out. In fact, the Adepts are dying, only killing 4 SCVs. And how's the main base looking? Looks like the bulk of the Adepts have died. The Prism is out of there with the extremely expensive payload of Immortal and double Sentry. So that's also pretty threatening. I mean,
following
nice.
it up with a ton more gates and charge and a Templar Archive. So he just wants to go kill it, Maynard.
I think so. He's been looking at aggressive with the 4-gate opener and dropping those extra 4. This is just going to be a big old 2 base from Nice. Oh, don't let that shade finish. You madman. You absolute madman. Nice is a psychopath. He is a psychopath.
He's just sacrificed a whole bunch of Adepts to the gods. Now starting to drop those Immortals in. Oh, that really wasn't fantastic, and I think ExpecT starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. Oh my god, he's microed the Immortal. He's rallied the Immortal rather straight in towards the Natural, and that's gone down for free. ExpecT now starting to move across the map. Oh, this is looking very, very dicey for the Protoss player now.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to pick off this tank, maybe, sure, with the Prism. Not even, actually, as the Marines coming to Shepherd. The problem for Nice is he's been too complacent. He's just being a little bit too sloppy in this game, and now ExpecT's actually got a pretty powerful army. There is an Archon here and a shield battery, so there is potential for Nice to hold, but it's still pretty dicey, especially with that tank.
In the meanwhile, the Immortals keeping the pressure on, do see that additional CC being dropped, and ExpecT, I don't think he has to force anything. Seeing that CC being dropped, I feel like he's happy to sit in this entrenched position. He needs to sort of make sure he doesn't stick around too much longer, though, as you do see the Immortal pressure continuing, but unfortunately he hasn't been microing those Immortals. He's lost one of them. The other one just sitting on a little bit of HP, and actually that's enough pressure to cancel the CC as well as pull the units back from ExpecT and break that contain for the time being.
Yeah, charge loss coming into the main base here. If the Prism gets picked off, if you can get Marines in range of that Prism, this is kind of, the wind is taking out the sails of this attack. He is starting to move closer and closer to that Prism. The Zealot's kind of covering his retreat, and ExpecT comes home with those tanks as well. Amazingly Nice not only holds, but looks confident enough to try and counterattack again, and then rethinks it, brings everything back home. What a weird game for both players.
Yeah, this is a crazy game. Third being dropped by Nice. He doesn't want to try to force the issue too much. Feels like the army might be a little bit too much to deal with, forcing things in towards that natural choke point. ExpecT going for that third CC as well. So the game does actually start to normalize and is somewhat even as we move in towards the middle stages of it.
Yeah. The Liberator being there from Nice. I mean, yes, the Liberator is going to get into the main base, but he knows about it, so that means that he shouldn't lose any probes here. Liberator's kind of stuck in no man's land in between the potential 4th base location or 5th base location and the main base. Double Immortal coming back here with that Prism. Stim Marines, though, is going to be able to excuse those from the premises. Don't get too much done there. Some hit points in the SCV.
Yeah, so moving into a little bit more splash damage for Nice here, going straight in towards the Templar as the Storm finishes up. No Colossus then, which is interesting. I haven't seen a Protoss player for a while just go straight for the Storm rather than going for Colossus or Disruptors, and now ExpecT feeling confident enough to start moving out on the map and potentially shove towards the third.
I get worried when a Terran goes for a big SCV pool against a guy that has Storm. I get very worried about that, but Nice actually... he's got some High Templar out. Where are those High Templar for Nice? I think they might be in the Warp Prism. Yes, they are.
Oh no, they've gone straight past each other, and with the SCV pool starting to move up towards his third, I don't think he's going to expect the Protoss behind him, but now it actually does get the SCVs into position to tank all of the Zealots.
The tanks are actually doing an incredible job here for ExpecT. He's got a little bit of bio remaining. If he has any bio left over, he might be able to...
Wow.
Oh, never mind. No, there's just way too much Protoss here. I was like, the tanks are doing a fair bit, but the Warp-In's too good. The Charge Lot's too good. Liberator of the main kills 4 pros, but 24 SCVs have died because they were all with the attack.
Yeah, and he even had that third CC all along, and he actually does drop the third CC as well as a handful of mules, but surely won't have enough army to be able to hold on here as you see Nice just pushing straight back down in towards the tanks, going to utilize those Immortals to be able to pick off any of the Marauders. He's got so many Immortals and Archons, and that's the game there. A very weird one, aggression back and forth on both sides, but Nice is going to come out ahead.
Yeah, indeed. That was a, you know, not certainly not my favorite game that we've seen tonight. That was like very sloppy from Nice, very sloppy from ExpecT. It was entertaining for sure. Like to see people try and trying to hold all these limes, and then the limes falling out their arms, spaghetti's falling out their pockets, and they're all at the same time, and then try and put it back together into a video game, which both of them, tried really hard to do. And it looked like ExpecT kind of had it, then Nice kind of had it, then ExpecT kind of had it, and then it was just all Nice towards the end there. That SCV pool. The SCV pool is like one of those. I'm not happy with how this game's going, and I just want it to end, whether it's a win or a loss. And I'm just going to try and put all my eggs into this basket, which is something that ExpecT does do from time to time.
Yeah, I thought the game was going to normalize a little bit there, as I saw them both sort of drop their third, but both of them still looking like they wanted to be aggressive. Neither one of them really committing too hard to the workers. I thought that if you didn't see that hard commit with the Adepts straight in towards the natural, then Nice might have been able to actually clean that up a little bit earlier on. But, he still gets it done.
He does indeed. A win is a win, as they say. And this is what I was really worried about. I'm like, oh, you're pulling SCVs, and he's got the splash damage. Oh, you poor sweet summer child. That bad weather is going to just ruin your day. And charge lots, that's how you get rid of those tanks. That's how you get rid of the leftover Marines. And when you're just left with a trickle of bio and this much splash damage, and even these tier 3 Archons in the back line, and even some Storms, that's just way too much power here for the Protoss.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how it's like, I feel like they're so ready to engage each other with mid-game armies that you see some sort of more interesting unit compositions. You see the Templars creep in there, and a hell of a lot of Immortals, way more Immortals than I've seen in any PvT I've watched recently being pumped out there, because they're just so aggressive. They're so eager to sort of take those mid-game skirmishes against each other, and Immortals do pretty well against those low number of tanks and chewing away at some of those units with the Warp Prism micro.
Yeah, the Immortal were also quite good, strangely enough, at SCV harassment and picking off add-ons and that kind of thing. They're very, very annoying with that Prism. 2 Immortals and a Prism name a better duo. That's, or I guess a trio. There's 2 units in a Prism, so a trio. But yeah, they do so much in every single matchup. It is a great tool for the Protoss. But we're going to take a short break, guys. When we return, we're going to have map number 2 between ExpecT and Nice. Don't go away. G'day, StarCraft fans. Welcome back. We've got ourselves map number 2 in the wings here. We're going into Jagannatha, the biggest map in the current season map pool between ExpecT and Noise. I am Maynard, with me is Pilly, and we're going to be getting into... Oh, Pilsky, excuse me. I'll go full... We can't be too casual here. This is a professional broadcast. We'll go full names only. But we are going to get into another TP game.
Name.
Your what, sorry?
You got to use my government name, Maynard.
Your government name, that's right. It's on your passport.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, getting into another game. You did say it's a bigger map, and I'm kind of interested because I was like, this is, you know, a bit bigger of a map pool than, like you did mention, a death or a submarine or something like that. But it still was pretty much a fist fight. So what happens when we get a little bit more distance between each of these players? Is there less potential for fist fight, or do they still go straight in for the fist fight again?
I think when you look at two Taiwanese players, the answer is always fist fight to me. These guys just, they don't seem to care about the map. Well, that's not completely true. There are some that they will play differently for different maps, but they generally will favor aggression over just slowing the game down and trying to, you know, just own their side of the map and just having a bigger economy. Nice is such a crazy aggressive player from time to time, and ExpecT is exactly that, but for the Terran side of things. So I'm looking forward to this one and how it looks. I think that it is going to be a fist fight, but just maybe, you know, with broom handles. You know, they're just trying to, because there's a little bit more range to it. So they're just poking at each other with a ranged weapon of some kind.
I'm looking forward to that that description.
I would, now that I've mentioned that, like this idea didn't exist to me until I came up with that analogy off the fly. But I kind of would pay to watch that battle now. I would watch a boxing match between two people in a much bigger ring, but with broom handles.
Okay, that's really great to hear, Maynard, and I'm looking forward to see if your dreams become a reality. We'll see if Nice's dreams become a reality. They already have in the previous season of DreamHack before.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see. In the bottom left here, it is the man, of course, the current victor of Taiwan and the current reigning champ. It is Nice from Alpha X.
And over on the other side of the map, let's see if he has the craftier broom handle. If he went with the wood or the plastic, it is ExpecT.
I'd be so terrified of the wood broom handle. These plastic broom handles just don't cut the mustard. As an owner of a plastic broom myself, the wooden broom handle has always been the more terrifying.
There you go. You must you want real touch. You must be one of those
Yeah.
guys, you know, he likes the old fashioned. As soon as he fixes something into place, you give it a little nudge and you say, that's not going anywhere.
Oh, I'm definitely that guy. 100%. Absolutely that guy.
Well, as you do have the gas and the racks, nothing crazy. The Reaper's coming out as well, going to try to pick away that pesky probe that you seem to have a personal vendetta against in that last match.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. Actually, very close to picking off that SCV on the gas. Oh,
got a little too
ExpecT
greedy.
citizen's arrest.
It was the honey trap, Maynard. It was the honey trap, my friend.
Pig calls that the you know, when you got a unit that's basically trying to bait people out, it's called the jailbait unit. It's trying to hold out a flag there and saying, hey, come get it, big boy. But all of a sudden you bite off more than you can chew and you're down a probe. And that unfortunately is the case here for Nice.
Yeah, it's a general life rule. If it's too good to be true, probably is.
That's right.
Yeah.
Don't take candy from strangers.
Definitely not.
Lots of great rules.
The Stalker doesn't want to be inviting anybody into his residence, at least for the time being. And there will be no candy for the Reaper, as he does just poke in for a second and find out what's happening. You've got a safety bunker coming up in the front here. And Nice is once again dropping that Robo, which I'm keen to see if he's going to utilize to similar fashion to the last game and get a Prism, get an Immortal going. Not sure if that will be as effective without the pick-off of a certain and I'm not sure if Nice is necessarily keen to put on as much aggression. Seems to be happy to just sit back with his Stalker over towards his base.
Bit of an update from the other side of the group there. Rex is 2-0'd Mystery Man. Mystery Man, a new addition to the top 8 here of the Taiwanese Hong Kong main event. Reaper coming back in for a bit of a look here in this game, by the way. Oh, might get a bit of candy. Probe kill, nicely done. 2 probes going down. Bit of a scout off for the Reaper as well. Nicely played there from ExpecT. I'd be happy with that Reaper, honestly.
Surpassing the expectations, as you do see the 1-1-1 being going through the motions is Mr. ExpecT, and in the meanwhile a couple of those gateways to be able to deal with any potential Hellions. But unfortunately gateways cannot fly, at least not yet. And you will see the medevac potentially pick up a couple of those Hellions and try to sneak its way towards the mineral line anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a lot of people that watch a lot of StarCraft have been seeing the strategy from ExpecT from a lot of Terrans. The ferry up the Hellions with the medevac, or ferry up the Marines with the medevac, and then use the Hellions for probe damage plus scout. And this time it is going to be the Marine drop, but the Hellions here for ExpecT are going to be joining in. Just try and poke the natural to Protoss and get some actual damage done the probe line.
Okay, so it's kind of like a multi-prong harassment. Third Nexus coming in here for Nice as the Observer makes his way in towards the main. And we'll spout out a couple of racks being added, as well as that NG Bay, now the loadout in towards the main. But he did see, actually the recall, as he did see with the scouting pylon, the Marines come in, but that is just a bit of a bait as the Hellions actually make it in. Probe wasn't quick enough to throw down that pylon, but the pull is nice from Nice.
It is nice from Nice. The probes are alive for now. The main base starting to get a bit of pepper for these Marines. Gets 4 of them so far. The Marines still, with medevac support, actually trading all right against these Stalkers. The Stalkers getting low on hit points. The Hellions are back in the natural. Once again, no shield battery down here. They're trying to find an angle on this probe cluster on the left side. Oh, ExpecT getting quite a bit of probe damage there. I'd be pretty happy with 8 probes if I get to save the medevac, and I think that ExpecT did. So, as the Terran, I think you're pretty happy with how that went.
That's beautiful. He's pumping away into the tanks as well as the Marines, getting himself ready for a bit of a longer game here. And I'd say that he's in a much better position. Holy crap, that is a lot of observers just wriggling around everywhere. Nice doesn't want to be caught off guard by any kind of shenanigans, wants to see every single corner of the map he possibly can. How many observers is that? 4 or 5?
That is actually 4 observers, Pilly, which I must admit, you know, you brought up a really good point there, because there's something I didn't notice, but 4 observers is a lot of observers for this phase of the game.
Yeah, he's almost got as many observers as he has Stalkers. It's insane. In theory, his unit should never be out of position.
Yeah. You know, he's got so many observers with the intention of getting caught by shenanigans, but unfortunately got caught by shenanigans. He lost
Yeah.
a lot of probes so far in this game. I mean, the observer sieged up in front of the natural, the Terran, is definitely like, I guess, the more important one. That's the one that sees when the critical push comes across the map, the one that usually ends the game for the Terran if the Protoss doesn't respect it.
Don't want to be losing that third nexus, otherwise things generally slide further downhill and you sort of get into that primal Protoss instinct of making more bad decisions and trying to two-base all in or something like that. Bunker does get salvaged as the observer that was perched up does see the Terran move out, and the third CC actually being plopped down on location much later than the nexus here from Nice. So let's see if ExpecT can do some damage to make up for that, as there really isn't a whole lot to push this away just yet from Nice, but at least he does know it's coming.
I mean, if ExpecT is beelining here and he really gets a step on, I think he can actually do insane damage, potentially even kill a third. As the Colossus is just now popping out for it Nice. You know, Colossus is fantastic to have against the bio units, but it is not going to have extended thermal lance for quite a bit, and 2 tanks is pretty threatening to a single Colossus. So it's very important for Nice to be very careful here and just not throw too many units away, while just respecting the bio a little bit. You know, he's going to lose his gateway units to the bio. The tanks are going to fire that Colossus as soon as it's in range. Nice is respecting this, is going to drop the and the overcharged shield battery. Natural getting hit by the drop as well.
Yeah, the drop making all the difference there, actually starting to split up the Protoss, putting him under a lot more pressure. As you did see the Colossus coming out, I thought that was going to be the ability to push it away a little bit more, but with the second prong of the drop coming in, a little bit more damage inflicted, but not quite enough yet to sort of divvy up the disadvantage that the Terran's at. Only now is he getting the third CC online, but it's been saturated. It hasn't been saturated for as long as the third of the Protoss, that's for sure.
Medevac trying to find sweet spots out of range of both sides of those stalkers, which it's found, thankfully. But yeah, ExpecT did some damage there with that push. He did some, well, more so that the push distracted Nice while the damage came in from the medevac at the backside, but still stuck to the south side of the map there at 6 o'clock.
And the 5 pylon drop as you get 101 over 101 supply block. Sorry, go on.
That is a nasty supply block there from Nice. ExpecT is actually supply blocked a little bit as well. Both players missing macro there for a moment, but of course they're about to kick into their production again.
You love to see it. As I think ExpecT, now I'm going to get to see what I was hoping for in that first game a little bit more. He's constantly kind of getting caught before he can siege his tanks up in time, sort of being pushed out of the less optimal position as Nice sort of gets on the front foot a little bit more. Needs to be careful, Nice, because this is not a whole lot of units from him. He only has those 2 Colossus. You don't want to see the 5 tanks just instantly one-hit KO one of those Colossus and allow Chase to come in from the bio.
This is a pretty tasty tank count here, and the Marauder count also pretty threatening to this Colossi ball. Charge would be lovely here for Nice, but it is a little bit of ways off. It's just over halfway done. And this tank count is, again, like 5 tanks is so threatening to this army of Nice. He does not have a good army against this many tanks. Really needs charge done here.
That gateway, you do see a couple of zaps coming into Colossus, but it's all on top of those Marauders, like you did mention. Now the Marines come into the fold, and they're just going to start focusing down these units. This is way too much for ExpecT to deal with. It is a 1-1 scoreline. Nice to see the man actually get to play his game a little bit more and show what he's made of. Very much in control that entire game, I would say, Maynard.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of those games where it started off well for him and he didn't let it go. You know, he didn't let that game run through his fingers. Well done by ExpecT, and that's a pretty high-level game there from him. Like, it's nice to see a dismantling of a Protoss that's this good. It was very well played, and it's cool to see this go to game 3. Honestly, if I had to guess, I would have thought that this would have been a nice 2-0. I think that was the score line that I gave. I mean, I could check the sheet and check, or I could just change my prediction right now and just say that Nice was going to go for a 2-0 at the beginning there. That was initially what I went for. So I didn't. I'm trying not to say nice things about Nice, and I'm trying not to say that I didn't expect things from ExpecT, but I didn't expect to actually do well in something like a game 2. That looked very, very clean from him. And if he does that again, I mean, we could be having another upset here to start off Taiwan, just like Oceania.
Yeah, I think, look, when there was a little bit more distance between the two players, when ExpecT was allowed to get a little bit more comfortable, that's where you saw him start to shine a little bit. In that first game, I felt like he was slowed down a lot more and he wasn't able to actually get rolling and get up to that sort of really scary army that you want to see the Terran get up to. And there was much less pressure put on the Protoss. Even from those first couple of units, you saw Nice putting on the pressure with the Adepts and the Stalkers in that first game. Complete opposite. There wasn't any pressure from the first couple of units from Nice this game. He was constantly off the back foot right from the get-go with this drop, and I think that's really going to be the key for ExpecT. I hate to go back to that cliche every single time of you need to see X player play his game a little bit more, but that's what it was for ExpecT. Really, and I finished, the man was in control and he was doing the classic Terran thing that you want to see, which is just a well-executed order of steps, punch after punch, just coming at his opponent until Nice broke.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that ExpecT knew right there. He was like, oh, wait, I've got this. Dives with the bio, and he's like, okay, there's no more front line, which means the Colossi is going to take a few bio units down, but I have so many tanks left over and so much bio left over that Nice is about to get rolled, and that was a good call there from ExpecT. But it was all off the back of some really good early game damage. The Protoss isn't up a dozen probes with a third base like they normally are at that phase of the game. Then it's a little bit tougher. You're not as far behind on things like, charge is a little bit quicker. You might potentially have had a couple extra seconds on extended thermal lance, maybe more gateway units to support your Colossi. All of those things make a big difference if you just got those extra. How many probes did you lose that game? Like 10, I think? Maybe more? Actually, maybe more like a dozen probes went down in that game. So, yeah, it does slow you down quite a bit. But let's jump over to game 3. One map, mate, to decide who wins this first series.
Makes a big difference. We will see if this blue Protoss player will put himself where we all expect him to be, the upper bracket. It's the blue Protoss. Nice.
And in the top left here in the red, getting a lovely game 2. A clean, crisp dispatching of his Protoss opponent. Can he do it again in game 3 here on Lightshade? This is ExpecT.
I'm a little bit more worried this time for ExpecT Maynard. I've done the classic where you get your fingers out, your pinky and your thumb, and you try to do a little bit of measurement. And I've determined that the rush distance is less big on this map. I hope I'm correct because I don't know this new map pool. But that's probably not a good thing for the Terran. I feel like a much more arm's length sort of map like that last one. He was able to actually execute a bit more of a game plan. This is where I'm keen to see if Nice goes back to Old Faithful and starts to get in his face a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those maps where I think that something like 4-gate blink, I mean, really any map, if you can get away with not being scouted, 4-gate blink is really still quite brutal in this matchup. It's interesting to see ExpecT actually just go for like a barracks tucked into his main base, like just as a smaller side. Most Terrans, like I'd say 99 out of 100 Terrans will get the barracks near the wall in there so that they can, wall in, because the depths exist, Pilsky, and walls are usually pretty important against things like that.
Yeah, Adepts make you very, very sad. They come and they kill all of your lovely SCVs, and there's no more buttered biscuits for anyone.
Yeah, and no more overtime.
Definitely not. As you do see the Nexus being dropped there, CC being dropped as well, and there's the Chrono Boost on the Adept. So look, a bit like our discussion earlier of poor Netflix writing. That might be a bit of those foreshadowing moments where they zoom directly in on what they want you to look at.
Yeah, indeed. This SCV looks like it's not going to go home alive. The Adept's going to be able to shoot it down with one more glaive there. Down it goes. And we do see the CC going down for ExpecT, but up on the high ground, so a little bit more conservative from our Terran friend here. Normally you'd see the Terran go for the low ground expand, but he just doesn't want to. He's just like, oh, the Adept is going to be across the map eventually. I'm just going to keep that CC in the main, not have it harassed, not going to lose another SCV while it's trying to build that on the low ground. And Twilight Council goes down here for Nice. Looks like he's going for a blink follow-up.
To be honest, I like the CC on the high ground because I almost kind of just feel like it's good for ExpecT's mental. Not getting pushed around in the early game, not getting harassed, just making sure he's got all his, lowercase j's dotted, as you put it before, and make sure he's on the right track here to be able to get himself rolling. Because I feel like as soon as that pressure starts to come in from Nice, That's where, you know, he needs to be able to respond effectively. You don't want to be set back time and time again, like, oh, you know, you're getting pressured minute after minute after minute. Just have to focus on one thing at a time and give himself a little bit more breathing room, and he's getting that cyclone out. So it seems like he's anticipating a bit of BS here.
A bit of BS. I mean, the Cyclone is a BS deflector. It's one of those things that's quite good against Stargates. You know, if you're being proxy Stargated or even just Stargate in general, Cyclone's a really good response to that. It's also got a little bit of utility at dealing with the 1 or 2 early game gateway units that generally give you hassle at the beginning of the game, like this little Adept.
Beautiful.
See, she's dead now.
Yeah, that's got to be a little bit of a sigh of relief. Maybe not a full sigh, maybe it's like a slight exhale through the nostrils. Does slip that Reaper in towards the main base as well and sees the Blink researching pretty early on there. So ExpecT, this is about as good of a position that you'd want the man to be in as he navigates his way through the rest of this game. I'm getting some tingles. I'm feeling good about this upset, to be honest.
Yeah, he's going for a 3 racks follow-up with the factory as well, so quite a bit of production here for ExpecT. A lot more focus on bio-production, that sort of thing. He's foregoing his starport at the moment. It's very common to see, you know, Terran after the 1 or 2 barracks go straight for the starport so they can get Widow Mines out, because the Widow Mine drop's not just probe damage, it's scouting as well. You know, the Medevac is a very fast unit, it's got the boost ability, and you get to see what the Protoss is up to while dropping Widow Mines on their face, and that's the power of that build. But this time, ExpecT's actually focusing a lot more on having a ground pound army of a lot more bio units and delaying the starport. So he is going to have a pretty nice fighting force here against the Protoss. If Nice did try to go for a big like blink attack, he'd be left a little bit wanting, I feel.
Yeah, well, he's not fully committed to that. It's not like the crazy, you know, 6-7 gates or anything like that. He's got quite a few gates. He's going to definitely be moving across the map and putting on some pressure, but he's not past the point of no return just yet. Just looking to try to see what damage he can get done. In the meanwhile, he's still making a couple of probes back at home, dropping the Colossus Den. Keen to see if he's going to drop that 3rd Nexus behind, or whether he's going to try and go for a second wave like
I'm a little worried for ExpecT here, specifically because his tanks aren't spread very much. He's very concentrated on the natural. Main base is left wide open. There's only a Cyclone here. Nice is in. Oh, he's going to get Stim. Big pick off there. Denying Stim is massive.
That had so many seconds already elapsed on it as well, and I think, you know, Nice is just going to cross-effectively trade with these Blink Stalkers. Doesn't even need to use the Blink just yet, as he's just microing it with the Warp Prism for the most part. Maybe a little less cost-effective as you start to move through the rest of that. Bit of miss micro there, losing a couple of extra Stalkers, but I'd say picking off that Stim, now he's dropping himself that Nexus, and I don't know how many Terran players are feeling super comfortable about pushing across the map and challenging that 3rd when you don't have that Stim to be able to give a little bit more chase or just get a little bit closer to that Colossus and take it out.
Well, you've absolutely hit the nail on the head. I couldn't agree more. And that's the thing. With you pick off Stim, that means the Terran can't push. You're not going to push without Stim. You just will not do it. You try and do that, and you're just going to get picked apart from Blink Stalkers. They're going to continue to pick apart 1 or 2 units and just blink away. You know, pick off 1 Marine, 1 Marauder, pick off a Medevac, pick up a tank, and they're just going to keep doing that over and over again as you move through the middle of the map. And Nice has that squad of Stalkers ready for ExpecT. If ExpecT does try to do that, he's got that ball of Stalkers waiting for that move. And meanwhile, back at home, he's getting his Colossus count up. ExpecT is feeling very comfortable right now. Rather, Nice is.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the Colossus count, he's also going to have the charge done this time. That was the big difference with that last game. You saw ExpecT come in for that push towards the 3rd before charge was done, before that Colossus count got too scary, when there wasn't really much of an army. I think Nice has more than well enough time to be able to get a bit of saturation in towards this 3rd. The bunch of observers that he has, as well as the Stalker hit squad out the front of the Terran base, will give him plenty of reaction time. And in the meanwhile, he's well within his elephant element, perhaps. That's just the classic.
I mean, that's the wonderful thing about
that's
the wonderful thing about an elephant. It is such a large animal. It's just you can be well within it and even have room for your mates. Like
it's a bit of a Trojan horse situation, except a little bit more screwed up.
It's late in Australia, guys. If you're wondering why we're sounding a little bit, you know, maybe we're a little bit rough on the edges with our commentary. It is past midnight. You know, it's a.
We're already slow our words as Aussies, you know. That's just going to be the cherry on the top. Oh, the couple of last Zealot doesn't make it out of there, unfortunately. So not joining the rest of the boys down on the ground floor, being able to give chase to a couple of the SCVs. But this is not going to stop ExpecT from pushing across the map, at least not for now, as the production rallies are enough to clean up those couple of Zealots. Now the engagement in the middle of the map from Nice does lose him as Stalker, but he's had enough reaction time here, Maynard, and he's going to actually engage out in the middle of the map.
I actually am a little bit worried about the army for Nice here more than ExpecT. Like, yeah, there's a good bit of splash damage there in that choke point thanks to Colossi, but a choke point this tight against the Terran with a good number of tanks is a little dangerous for the Protoss. It's very, it's like, yeah, maybe, but it's never convincing. So I'm seeing ExpecT pull back. I'm seeing Nice pull back. I think both players are terrified of engaging in the middle of this map. The light shade choke point in the very middle is very scary. When you have splash damage. But we are seeing a disengage here. Nice continuing to maintain, I feel like, a little bit of a lead, but the Terran definitely ahead in upgrades. Nice catching up in that regard. And we do have a third base here on the way for the Terran. It feels like a little bit late to the party, as ExpecT has been putting a lot of eggs into the production basket.
Yeah, starting to power up a little bit more, but not much saturation. The Protoss have definitely had a hell of a lot more income for the last little bit, and you're seeing the results. You know, he has more workers. He might not be as big in terms of the army, but he's definitely starting to get there. Dark Shrine on the way will give him a little bit more run-by potential and harassment potential as we move in towards the middle portion of the game. He's going to grab himself a fourth Nexus. And that's just, you know, you're seeing Nice stay one step ahead of the Terran for the most part, and he hasn't really suffered any damage just yet.
Yeah. I mean, with seeing Prism speed in the Dark Shrine, it's pretty clear that Nice is going to try and get the Invisible Man inside of the infrastructure of the Terran. The Prism has already been killed. At least one of them has already been killed by the mixture of the Cyclone and the turret at the main base of ExpecT. And he's actually starting to reactor out Vikings as well, which is going to be pretty fantastic. Not only with dealing with the Colossus, but it actually isn't too bad of a tool to have when the the Prism juggling is starting to happen for the Protoss as well. Nice is going to try and go for the High Templar Prism thing, which I think Vikings are really effective against. Oh my god, that tank line! Jeez, that looks as 8 tanks, 7 tanks.
Scary, but this is where you're going to start to see a couple of these zealots trying to go for these hit and run tactics. One little squad of them up towards the north. You got a couple of them towards that prism as well. Vikings have definitely scattered out those couple of zealots though, at least for the time being. And keen to see how these disruptors do go, because Nice has definitely switched his splash damage this game, not going for that storm. Instead, this time it is the disruptors. And he's going to be sort of playing that hit and run style, sending out those disruptor shells, giving the zealot run bys as well as the Dark Templar a pretty good go, and we'll see how it works out for him.
Pretty scary ball of units here for Nice. Good bit of splash damage with the 2 Colossi and the Disruptor. Usually it's 3 Colossi, strangely enough, so he does have like a little bit less splash damage. The Archons are there as well, of course, so there's splash damage too. That is a doom drop right there from ExpecT. He's going to be looking for the main base here. Does take a little bit of the power out of his defensive army. With this many tanks, maybe he feels fine.
And the move up, straight up in towards that that third base location, but it is the closest towards the main, rather.
Oh my god.
CC being cancelled there for the time being, but here's the doom drop into the main. Will the recall come out? He doesn't have energy on that main Nexus, actually.
Yeah, he actually needs 50 energy for that recall, so the Disruptor's going to try and hold the line itself. That is a beautiful Nova, though, and the DTs should be able to clean this up.
Yeah, no scan just yet. It finally does come out, but there's more than enough DTs to be able to deal with that. And meanwhile, you did see the fallback from the main army as that scary tank line starts to move out on the map, but not as much bio to be able to support it.
That was a wonky recall there from Nice. He finally did get it, but it was only like 3 or 4 units. The attack is going in from ExpecT. I feel like when you're very tank heavy, it's hard to attack, but ExpecT has found a lovely position here, and that tank count is monstrous. The Archons are being deleted, trying to target fire down the Disruptors as well, successfully, I might add, but the DTs are getting through the bio line, and once he gets through the bio, the tanks are next on the menu. Nice is just hacking and ripping and tearing through